Okay. So good evening and good morning to all who have joined today's leadership talk, which is 27th in this series. On my personal behalf, as well as on behalf of the Academy of Leadership at IIT Kharagpur, I welcome you all. Thank you, Shrijeet Mishra ji, for accepting our request and to deliver leadership talk today, which is on innovation across boundaries. To give a very brief overview over the academy, and I think Partha sir will be giving more detail on his speech. So we started sir, our journey in almost in this 2.5 years back, with a huge support from Dr. Ghosh on to establish this leadership academy. This he with the name Partha Ghosh Academy of Leadership, and over the 2.5 year, we have conducted various programs on leadership. Started with this international leadership lecture series, which is still we are continuing. We are proud of that. And today is the 27th, and several eminent people, eminent leaders have spoken onto this platform, and we welcome you today, sir, onto this platform
Thank
at
you.
at Partha Ghosh Academy of Leadership. Other than this, Partha Ghosh Academy of Leadership has conducted various training program, and we have recently conducted training program, 5 days residential training program for senior management of NIC Government of India. And currently we are conducting, let's say, still we are, tomorrow is going to the last day for training program for the academicians. This is basically under the Ministry of Education. There is a mandate from Ministry of Education, Government of India, for academies leadership training for the academician people across the country. So that's other than this, also we have conducted in 2022 Women Leadership Conclave, and we hope to continue with this year or next year when second edition of the same. So we are also about to start dedicated leadership training program, leadership program for the student community, and hope with this upcoming semester we are going to launch a micro credit, or let's say 2 credit program for the students community of IIT Kharagpur. So with this, I welcome everyone once again, and I request Dr. Ghosh to share his thoughts about Dr. Ghosh. He is well-known, renowned leadership and management guru who has extended his services more than 25 countries in the across the globe, and he is our distinguished alumnus of IIT Kharagpur in from chemical engineering from chemical engineering. There after he has moved with the senior partner of McKinsey Group, and after that now currently he is professor of practice at Tufts University USA, where he is involved onto the leadership training programs, and as well as his full support we are at here. And he wanted to see there is a movement should be created within the country about the leadership, and with his thoughts and his well celebrated model, we are working on the same to take it forward. So Dr. Ghosh, so over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
So, good evening to all of you in India. Good morning and greetings from Boston. Firstly, Shailandra, thank you very much for a very generous introduction. And obviously, I've summarized the activities of Academy of Leadership extremely well. But since you have given me this opportunity for benefit of the people who are joining for the first time, many of you have heard about the Academy of Leadership. But for those who are joining for the first time, let me share with you some thoughts. I had very lucky, and I would say indeed privilege, to serve and work with leaders as a management consultant, as a strategist in the corporate and the government sectors, more than 25, close to 36 nations. And I do believe, based on what I have observed, that our civilization is in a serious crisis. It needs to move to a next S curve, and this crisis has been affected by multiple tensions, which I'm sure all of you realize: geopolitical, geoeconomics, climate, human migration, and increasing wealth gap. Now, it is clear that if you observe the way our civilization has evolved over the last 500 years, it was fundamentally influenced by two equations. One is Adam Smith's power of self interest and Charles Darwin's survival of the fittest. And the world, in the process, if you look at these two equations, self interest, survival of the fittest, means you tend to become selfish to survive. And in the process, we have created a zero sum game. For someone to win, someone else has to lose. In the process, what we are sensing, people and societies have become, as you know, self centered, communities are getting fragmented, our moral compass has been broken, and sense of ethics has been compromised. And in the process, nations are becoming less collaborative with conflicts all around. You know that very well. And in turn, we have seen a dangerous lack of balance in what we call the three E's: ecology, equity, and ethics. So we need to establish a plus sum logic by promoting the concept of one humanity, which is also in our ancient scriptures, both top down and bottom up. Not only top down, it has to be bottom up. In that context, the role of Vedic philosophy in shaping a more enlightening global civilization is indeed significant, and it is our responsibility to do so. So, the Academy of Leadership at IIT Kharagpur, our mission is very simple: working with thought leaders from all over the world, like you, Mr. Mishra, to the sessions like the one we are organizing today, customized leadership program, which Professor Varshney talked about, that integrates both Eastern and Western philosophies we wish to cultivate in our students, in our faculty. We had a program with Ministry of Education, corporate executives. We would love to have program with your group, government officials, including those in politics, both in the urban and rural India, to create a higher level of self-confidence, at the same time cultivate the spirit of selflessness to address complex issues which will inspire people to put social interests ahead of personal interests, who could forge enlightened synergies between different streams of thoughts. We wish to collaborate with organizations across the world to spread the leadership movement. What we have embarked on, I believe, is not easy. We have to work extremely hard. I would use the word 24/7, 365 days a year to begin this transition. The point of inflection is very difficult. The civilization is in. But I'm very confident and very hopeful when we come together, put in our mind, put our ancient scriptures right at the center, at the core of this movement, the great things will happen and we will see an enlightened journey forward. So with that, I'd like to welcome Mr. Mishra. I know Commander Jaitley would formally introduce you, but we are so delighted to have you among us to take this journey forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ghosh.
Thank you, Partha. Friends, we have today Shrijeet Mishra with us, Chief Innovation Officer of Aditya Birla Group since 2018. And before that, he had illustrious innings with Bennett Coleman and Hindustan Unilever for a very, very long time. He was the one who established Bennett University, a premier institute, which has now 9,000 plus, I think, students. And he's a frequent speaker at various universities like MIT, IIMs, Wharton, and so many others. And he does influence the industry in his strategic contribution at the global level. He's a part of think tank of so many institutes, closely mentors more than 150 startups to drive innovation and exponential growth. Basically, an economist, graduation, and then, of course, IIM Ahmedabad and Wharton, and so many other qualifications he has. He was recognized in Constellation's BT, Business Transformation 150 Leaders in 2002. And he was also invited by Switzerland government for Davos in 2023 to share his insights on strategic collaboration between governments and corporations to drive business value and competitive advantage through sustainable development. And in addition to that, let me tell you, he is a real gentleman. You meet him once and you become part of him. My association with him is very, very short, let me tell you, but the very first time we met, I felt as if we know each other for a very long time. So that is the beauty of meeting Shrijeet Mishra. His profile is too long. I'm not getting into that. So straight away, Shrijeet, it's all yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Commander Jetli and Partha. Thank you for your warm words. To me, these are learning sessions, and I'm really looking forward to the question answers more than anything else, because that's the only way I believe we will learn. So with a caveat, let me start. I think Partha said it beautifully. Social interest more than the personal interest. And I want to leave you with this thought, and I'll come back to it later some other time. There's a lot to learn from scriptures, and there's a lot to learn from nature. In fact, I want to do a leadership course on nature after I retire in this space. I'm an avid forest goer, and I believe there's a huge amount of learning from nature that we can pick as human beings to bring back into our lives. With those words, let me just get started. Please feel free to keep your questions with you. I'm trying to give you something which is nothing that is dramatically new, but there'll be a lot of stories and things in it that you'll find which will be new. And let me try and enumerate those stories to you. Start by saying that the world in 2050 is not going to be the same. Anybody who says he can profess what's going to happen is going to be tough. But truly, there are a few things that are common. Clearly, US and Europe will steadily lose ground to China and India. Yeah. Global economic powers will shift from to the E7 economies. Now, G7, you know, E7 is basically BRIC, Indonesia, Mexico, and Turkey. India will find its true place. The next 15 to 25 years are India's years to shine. But do not forget that there are 3 other players in the game: Vietnam, Philippines, and Nigeria. Why am I saying all this? Because if we realize the opportunity that exists for the world to take India's help to really grow, along with some of these economies, as I've just presented to you, realizing this, we are moving from survival to opportunity-based innovation as a country. And our rankings have improved from 81 to 40. What has changed is that we have looked at cost arbitrage. We have looked at how do you make sure that you are able to manage based on what is required by the customer and the consumer. IT and AI enabled driven. Digital infrastructure, not just physical. We are moving very quickly and very closely with physical to digital infra. Our government is extremely strong focus on innovation-focused government. And from public sectors, large public sector R&D, we have moved to a startup culture. And I think that's really going to make the big engine move. And from an MNC-driven focus to a local company-driven focus. In many ways, entrepreneurship, that I can do it, that we can manage, that I have to grow to make things happen. I have to put my best foot forward, is what is driving India forward. We've heard often about VUCA, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. That is here to stay. In fact, it is here to even become even more volatile. But in this volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, we have to have finer qualities, no pun intended. Finer standing for flexible, intuitive, non-linear, excitable, and responsible. That's the characteristics that is required to really work and stand out in this VUCA world and convert this so-called complex situation to an advantage. In India, we are finding what I call Ashtavinayakas, 8 trends that we use quite strongly. The first is that the next wave of consumer is going to be unleashed in India. The middle class is going to grow from 22% in 22 to about, some say 80% in 2030. I'm saying above 50%. There's going to be rapid urbanization and digitization that will absolutely necessitate hyper-personalization and rapid adoption of technology. Somebody who does not understand technology, and I'll take two points. Digital illiterate and AI literate are two different things. You have to ensure that each of us, at every age, it doesn't matter, are digitally literate and AI literate. The third one is India, of course, is becoming for manufacturing a global manufacturing hub. It's becoming an alternate to China. We all know this. But like I said, Indonesia, Vietnam, Nigeria are all slowly emerging too. India's prominence in the global services is well known. It has become a software innovation factory with more than 50% share globally. ESG and energy transitions is the fifth one, where that has become crucial going into the future, and you heard Partha talk about it. Data-driven organizations, data-driven insights are becoming extremely critical, and it is very clear that they can outperform companies and institutions that are data-driven can outperform their competitors by 6% in profitability. This is not a proven database. AI integration and digital revolution I just talked about is the technology disruption is the seventh one, very, very strong. And of course, this entire game of supply chain sustainability, not looking at just, remember one thing, 1 + 1 + 1 is 111 and not 3. Again, back to what Partha said, self-interest and survival of the fittest cannot lead to a situation where you take away from the value chain everything possible. If I am digital and my value chain is not digital, it's unlikely that improvement of productivity will happen over a period of time. If I take away all his profits, unless I work for his innovation, improve his efficiency, and then share a part of it, those are the ways of going forward. And I again repeat, 1 + 1 + 1 is 111, not 3. How do we navigate through this new world? First, when in doubt, I have always felt, and given my 24 years, 25 years with Unilever, I believe consumer at the center always, consumer customer at the center always makes a difference. This is 37, 38 years of my learning at work in one slide. First of all, look at that red day of her life. The first thing I understood in Unilever is that faster men believe that they take no call, and all calls are taken by women and family. Better it is for men and better it is for everyone. So men are made to believe they take calls. Calls are taken by the family and by the woman. Leave that aside. So you have to be relevant to her. You cannot sell a product. You're not selling their service. You're not selling a product. You're selling something that helps her live her life better. So I refer to the consumer always as her. The first 6 is the 6 senses. Think about for 10 seconds, which decision have you taken from your childhood till now? Any decision, including to come and join this talk, which does not involve either a combination or any of these 6 senses: touch, feel, sight, smell, hear, taste, emotions. Don't waste your time. The next 6 is 6 needs. I want to look better, bring my personality out better. I want a better health. I want a better home. I want to stay connected with my friends and family. I want to have fun. And well-being across the world has 4 insights. I haven't found a single individual who says my kids better than me is a universal insight. Not a single parent who said, yeah, my kid is not good, it's okay, let's forget it. What can I do? They try better. In South Asia, we go to any extent. In the developed world, they will also go to whatever extent they can. But nobody wants their child to be worse than them. Nobody wants the investment to decline. Number 2. Number 3, do you have a social standing beyond the place you work? And number 4, how are you recognized in society? The third 6 are 6 technologies. If you asked your grandfather or dad, he would tell you there are 6 technologies during his lifetime. Today, technologies are moving at a much faster rate. Nowadays, it is 4 to 5 years. I hasten to add, what will happen 5-10 years from now? It will be even faster. Today, the 6 technologies that all of us know are relevant are AR, VR, IoT, robotics, 3D printing, cloud computing, and data sensors, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Now, when you combine these 3, there are only the next 4 is 4 objectives. Top line growth, bottom line contribution, enhance consumer experience, or build sustainable businesses for the future. Which means don't take away from nature. Give back as much as you have taken, at least, if not more. These are the 4 objectives that I know in my 38 years of work. I haven't seen a 5th one yet. Now, when you look at these 6 by 6 by 6 by 4, you take any place, any brand, any category, any government, I hasten to add, any institution, and you will be able to find how to do innovation with that. Let me take the verse that we have done in this company. I mean, we have something called carbon. Carbon goes on tires. Carbon actually gives life to tires. Tires, where do they come? They come in staying connected, physically connected, because they enable you to get connected. Now, why are tires not colored? Why is carbon black? Who said carbon is black? You and I are black. Diamond is carbon. Gold is carbon. Everything is carbon. So why is carbon black? So when you add sight, you add stay connected, and you add technologies in a tire, can I say who's a better driver? Me or Partha? If Partha is a better driver, his insurance should be lower than mine. If Commodore is a better driver than me, Commander's cost should be lower than mine. Same car, same side, but different ways of looking at it. So you can combine this and create magic. Let's look at Aditya Birla. We give life to personality through fashion. We give life to relationships through connections, through mobility. We give life to health through what you eat. We give life to fun. How do I spend my time? Fun with family. We give life to home. We don't sell cement. And we give life to well-being through Aditya Birla Capital. Because there is insurance, there is investments, the entire gamut of what you invest is in Aditya Birla Capital. Therefore, we think like a consumer company and operate like underline the word responsible technology. We are not a manufacturing company. We are a responsible technology and manufacturing company. That's the way the new thinking is evolving. Therefore, nothing called a B2B. Everything has a C at the end of B2B. The objective of any strategic leader across the world is to deliver both value and valuation. These are 2 different things. They're not the same thing. Across the stakeholders, not just to your shareholders, but also to the community in which you live, the nature piece, people that you serve, etc., and of course the employees, across the stakeholders. What is the difference between value and valuation? Value is a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition for valuation. This is where I'm saying think like a consumer company. Remember my line, think like a consumer company? Let me compare. There's a paints company whose market cap is same as a big cement company. Cement company's turnover is almost twice, 182. Operating margin is 2/3 of the paints company for the cement company. Look at the P/E. Both have similar market caps. The reason, and look at the same thing is below on a metals company versus kitchen appliances major. This is a company that, look at they have 100 EBITDA. The leading metals company has 3,500, 35 times. But look at the difference in valuation, just 5.5 times. Obviously, there is a difference. The difference is looking at lifetime value. When you use paint, you change your paint every 2 to 3 years. You're talking about regular use. When you make a house, you put a cement, you forget about it after that. In fact, which cement also goes, you don't bother. So you have to have a look at regular use and lifetime value from a consumer. You have to be innovative. Your innovation may give you only 1% of volume or value, but may give you a big talking points with the consumer in terms of how they think about the brand. Third is consumer choice. There should be choice with consumer. And fourth is margin. If your margins are better. So if your margin is not cost plus, margins is value minus. You have to look at what value you give to the consumer, and therefore what margin do you have. And your brand strength has a lot to do with brand margins. Therefore, that's first thing, establishing it's a think like a consumer company. Let me move next. Operate like a responsible company. This is obvious. Companies with high ESG ranks are higher valuation multiples today. We know this. It's quite well established. When a manufacturing company also operates like a responsible technology company, it makes a difference. It's a great example, John Deere. John Deere, if I say John Deere, what comes to your mind? Tractor. Even today, look at their valuation. They moved from 2005, 15 billion to 2015, 32 billion. In 10 years, they moved doubled. In less than 5-7 years, they moved by 4 times. And the reason for that is that they have actually redefined their business. They are saying they are now a business that is digitally and AI-based ecosystem, providing holistic advisory to farmers. It is not just a mere tractor manufacturing company. So they moved from being a tractor manufacturing company to be a farmers advisory, a holistic farmers advisory company through digital and AI-based ecosystems. That has what has led to their company valuation going from 32 billion to 116 billion. Just by announcing it doesn't make sense. They've created a platform that allows for thousands and thousands of farmer services at different places and at different levels, and created what is called stickiness with the farmers. Again, therefore, in summary, think like a consumer company, operate like a responsible technology and manufacturing company. I leave that thought with you. Therefore, the framework for growth in the future, for us, as I see it in my 38 years, is very simple. Look at an A model of growth. Consumer customer centricity. First question you must ask in anything that you do. What's the pain point that I'm trying to resolve for the consumer or the customer or anybody for that matter? If it is a government, it is for people, whoever, right? What is the pain point I'm trying to resolve here? The second question you must ask is, whatever solutions I'm coming up with, is it driving the business more sustainably? Am I giving more than I'm taking from nature? And everything else, those are the 2 pillars. Everything else are enablers. Digital, data, innovation outside and innovation inside out, partnering with enterprises, startups, value chain, government, academia. They're all enablers. This is the A model of growth that I believe is not, it's every innovation must answer these questions. And if it is not adhering to it, then it should start looking at how to make it adhering, how to make that adhere to it. Otherwise, we'll have a bigger problem in the future. And therefore, think like a consumer company and operate like a responsible technology company is where I think most organizations need to go. Some examples at ABG, I'll give you 3 examples. Let me start by the first one. I hope you can hear the voice. Please confirm if you can hear the voice. This is about Birla Pivot. We launched this from conception to launch in 6 months. It's doing very well. I wouldn't say how it is doing. It's a B2B e-commerce business launched in 6 months, extremely well for the last 9 months in this country. Can you hear?
Yeah, we can. Can't hear now. Can't hear.
Sound
Audio is not there, sir.
Voice gone.
Oh, audio is not there?
No,
Yes,
it
sir,
just
we are
started,
unable
but
to
then
hear.
it just vanished.
Oh, it started and got vanished. Okay, let me just 1 second. Let me just share this again. Sorry for this. Sometimes this.
Can you hear?
You can listen, yes.
Yeah.
Then I just.
Yeah, go to the next slide. Go to the, no, don't. Go to the next slide.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, go to the next slide.
Yeah. This one?
Yeah, so this shows you the whole thing, that how we actually did it with complete partnership, one team, one mission. The idea was, with the partnership, if you saw the number of partners we have, in 6 months, this is a new way of working into the future. Not something that we are not used to ourselves, but this has really opened our eyes to what Partha was saying. This is not going to be something that you can do it alone in the new world. Let's move. The second example is from Novelis. Let me show you. This is circularity. Just again, look at how it works. Over to you. Just play the video, please.
Working in partnership with our customers, colleagues, and communities, we are partnering with purpose to bring sustainable innovation to life, creating products that are environmentally friendly and ecologically sound. For example, at Novelis, we are focusing on a new model of industrial production, where excess materials like aluminum scrap flows are designed to re-enter our manufacturing system. In simple terms, our customers actually send scrap aluminum back to Novelis to be remelted into new aluminum, which we then return to those very same customers. We've been doing this with beverage cans for a long time now. If you recycle a can today, it will be back on store shelves in roughly 60 days, cleaned and refilled, of course. Now take that same concept, but apply it to the automobile. Ford stamps out a structural part from our aluminum, like a door. Ford then returns the scrap to us, where we remelt it into new automotive aluminum to be used again by Ford for the same program. In fact, what differentiates aluminum from all other materials is that a product made from aluminum can be recycled over and over again, forever, without losing its properties. Aluminum has the highest value add when you contrast it to all other materials, because they have to be repurposed into alternative end uses. So, because aluminum is infinitely recyclable, this process goes on and on and on without ever compromising the quality of the aluminum. This is what we call closed-loop recycling. On the global stage, it means a move from a linear economy to a circular economy, where materials are recycled and reused over and over again, and our customers and the environment are the ultimate beneficiaries. Partnering with purpose, it's the Novelis way. To learn more, visit our website at www.novelis.com/sustainability.
Again, a great example of how you can create, working across the aluminum value chain, partners to drive the circularity agenda. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. This is another example where, no, let's go back. Yeah. This is another example of looking at, there's nothing called waste. Somebody's waste is somebody's value. In a circular economy, you have to find who that waste for you is value for whom. So in Hindalco, it is achieved, red mud is the final output that comes out as a waste. We've now converted that to be used by cement industry in Ultratech. It's rich in iron oxides, alumina, silica, and alkali. And it was poisoning land, environment, and providing and really proving to be environmentally challenging. Cement industry has used it. Hindalco has now received a patent for manufacturing red mud bricks out of it. And now it's not just Hindalco. We are giving this to the world so that the red mud issue across the world is sorted out. That is the way to work for the future. Let's move on, please. Now, if you see something common in this, what is the common thing? You'll find reassess through purpose. Every organization, every brand must have a purpose. If you do not have a purpose, you have no reason to exist. You have to have the flexibility to remain agile. Remember the finer words, flexible, the first one, and agility is crucial. Third, collaborate beyond functions. Very important. This is not about one supply chain function or one production function doing it or one marketing function doing it. It's people coming together. You saw the pivot example, another example in that. Collaborate beyond functions, beyond your company. Fourth, digital first mindset. It's not about saying, do I have a digital leg to my business? No. If the whole new way of thinking has to change to digital first, how would it be? And last and not the least, create a competitive advantage and a value from ESG. It is not a cost. You have to create a competitive advantage. So it is the big thing that I'm leaving with you is these are all interconnected. The backbone of disruption innovation or disruptive innovation is that these trends need to come together, and functionally we need to work together with different departments. So co-hosting, co-creating, co-owning a piece is going to be crucial for the future. Next, please. Therefore, from disruption, if these 5 trends are creating disruption because they're coming together, what's the definition of a disruption? It's a process by which an innovative product or a service or a business model, all 3, could enter the market and radically transform the industry or market segment. It could be looking at lower price. Look at the Nirma Surf example. I mean, in Unilever, we sat for a long time saying nothing will happen to surf till we actually did wheel, and we did wheel not inside HUL till we took wheel outside HUL and ran it as a separate company and competed with Nirma. Or it could be disruptors looking at augmented service that enhance customer experiences, or disruptors that reshape the markets. I'll show you a few examples. Can we move on? The first example that I want to share with you is Netflix. I know you all know Netflix, but just see the video. You'll understand how Netflix is going. My last question to you will be, where do you think Netflix is going to go? Let's see this.
In April 2017, Netflix hit a milestone when it reached 100 million subscribers. That's more than any over-the-top streaming network, including Amazon Prime and Hulu. Netflix is currently available in over 190 countries. Half the subscribers are in the US, where roughly 50 million people have joined across the 50 states. Founded in 1997 by Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph in Scotts Valley, California, Netflix began as a mail-order DVD service. Instead of going to a local store like Blockbuster, Netflix delivered entertainment right to your door. 10 years later, after delivering its billionth DVD, Netflix expanded into internet video on demand. What they offered was a revolutionary new way of watching TV. Instead of airing episodes weekly, viewers could consume an entire season in one go, what is now known as binge watching. Thanks to this new model, some shows that struggle to attract an audience week in, week out managed to avoid cancellation. The most famous example is Breaking Bad. Creator Vince Gilligan once said,
"I think Netflix kept us on here."
Improvements in streaming technology and a rise in the use of handheld devices helped Netflix's growth, as did the platform's vast library of films and TV shows. But there was one problem: none of the content belonged to Netflix. That meant the company wasn't just paying the original network for each show, but they also had no guarantee they'd be able to keep the rights forever. Their solution? To go from streaming TV to creating it. Netflix's first original show, House of Cards, was launched in February 2013 and made history later that year by becoming the first online-only television series to receive an Emmy nomination. With Kevin Spacey starring and David Fincher directing, it also showed that Netflix could attract top Hollywood talent to work on a web TV series. By 2016, Netflix grew to producing around 126 original programs a year, from children's cartoons to feature-length documentaries. So far, they've won 147 awards, including 1 Oscar, 55 Emmys, and 2 Golden Globes. Netflix are no longer the only players in the game. Other on-demand services have developed original programming, while networks like HBO have created their own online streaming services. So how will they continue to stand out from the crowd? The company plans to more than double original programming by the end of 2017, expanding native language and unscripted content.
Okay, stop
Beyond
it.
that, they could even one day venture into live TV, covering every...
So I think that it gave away the answer. Sharon gave the answer. They're moving to live TV now next. That's where they're moving. And Partha will tell you that ESPN, Trick, all the guys are in deep thought as to how they're actually going to stop them from going live on any event. Let's move on, please. Next slide.
Show to the end.
No.
Okay.
Next slide.
Yeah.
Next slide. Yeah. Now, sorry, just go back. Go back. Yeah. Now, this is, if you thought it can only happen in the digital world through Netflix, this is the same company, Honeywell. Look at their work, from aerospace to utilities to retail to logistics to life sciences to healthcare to energy. From collision avoidance system to autopilot to biodegradable detergents to automatic heating. All of them, one company, Honeywell. Next slide, please. They have a way of doing it. It's an and story. Life is not in the future about it's not this or that. It is this and that. They look at new markets and existing markets and look at new offerings and existing market offerings. And they focus their mind not just on breakthrough initiatives, but also on expansion and how to keep share. So you have to have, across all the 4 quadrants, very strong plans as you go forward. To get to breakthrough, let's move to the next slide. There are companies like, next slide, please. And through valuation games, let me ask this question. Which was the first US company to achieve $1 trillion valuation? Which was the second? Which was the third? Any answers? Anybody? Well, it's the same company. Click, please. It's called Apple. Click. Yeah, it's Apple all the way. And the reason why they do it all the time is because, click again, they actually have disruption tied to its brand, both through functional and emotional benefit. That combination has to be deadly. You have to have both functional and emotional connect with your customers. Next slide, please. So these are 3 examples I gave. Pioneer world truly demands an and story. Leadership of today and leadership of tomorrow. The difference is leaders have to understand what you need to take with you as is. What do you need to leave behind? Don't fall in love with what's working till today. Know when to kill your own favorite piece. What do you need to leave behind? What do you need to transform and change completely? And what do you need to co-create with your, perhaps even with your competition, perhaps with somebody else who's not in your category at all? How do you partner somebody who's not in your category? How do you co-create things for the future? This is the new mantra in the final world. It's an and story and not an or story. Let's move. How do companies begin disruption? Obviously, by analyzing mega trends. Move, please. If you look at mega trends for the future, across people, environment, global order, innovation, they are all interlinked mega shifts shaping the future. From rising middle class to aging population, we become younger, we stay younger for longer and become older faster. Yet we become, it's the evolving social contract between the different age groups. Environment, the transition to net zero, the water and food security stress, the cybersecurity, the rebalancing of global trade, the China issue, and innovation, the entire digitalization, emerging technologies, the advent of automation. All these are interlinked. And that's what is creating the chaos, or if I may say, the opportunity. Let's move on. In India, what's happening? I have told you this. This is the example I was giving you, that middle class is going to be upwards of 70, 80%. 46 plus 38 is about 74%. It's crazy. If this is what's going to happen by 2030, even if half of this were to happen, this country is on a roll for the next 15 years. Next slide, please. But, just for you to know, 57% of India's growth comes from our own consumption. Not many countries have that in their own country. What sectors are top 100 innovators in more? So you look at R&D. When you look at R&D, you realize that technology is about half. About a quarter is in healthcare. And about 16% is in automotive. And the rest are in financial services. I will take 2 extremes of this and show you 2 examples. I will show you first technology. Let me show you what I believe are the 8 technology predictions of the future by 2030. Can we move to the next slide, please? We have to envision the future. Think about how the future is going to look, and we look at it from 2 angles, like I said. Next slide, please. The first is technology. Let's look at, this is Huawei's, I really like this. They actually talk about the technology predictions for 2030. I believe this is the right, accurate prediction. Over to you. Can we see the video, please?
There will be a surge in demand for healthcare services in the future, with new methods for reducing healthcare costs. diversifying healthcare resources, and also developing new preventative treatments. And this will improve the quality of life for everyone, making healthcare more affordable and more accessible. And computing technology will help you identify potential health conditions. So data from wearables and from portable monitors will aid doctors in using artificial intelligence to personalize our health solutions and to measure factors like your sleep, your nutrition, and your overall mental health. Then we have data. Data will expand the study and the research of agriculture and will help you to overcome food shortages and pesticide pollution. So nutrition standards and diets, they are evolving to focus on food and on safety standards and green certified solutions. And IoT devices will be used for precision farming and vertical farms to measure optimal growing conditions. And meat will be artificially engineered to be more healthy and to be more sustainable. So demands for personalized home experiences is the next one. And they're on the rise, while home and building design is being altered by demands for the net zero carbon buildings by 2030 as set by the Paris Agreement. And automated storage and delivery systems and advanced smart home systems will deliver intuitive experiences and connect communication and communities together through new smart type of services. Where we have 5G, IoT and AI, they will establish a network of connections that will reshape our living spaces and also help us and bring us adaptive and intuitive experiences. Then we have the electric vehicles. They are a major component for cutting carbon emissions, and public and private transportations will dramatically change as the new cars, the new vans and the new buses will hit the road. And even the aviation industry is developing clean energy aircrafts. Then we have autonomous vehicles that are the next stage of evolution for vehicles that will reshape travel experiences. So new mobile experiences, including entertainment and work, will be integrated into your vehicle experience. So broadband connections will cover a wide range of hotspots, enabling coverage and new mobile capabilities everywhere. Then we have urbanization is a major global trend, and 5G, AI, cloud and blockchain, they are creating new possibilities for sustainable development and for smart city projects. So we have dynamic, intelligent, digital infrastructures that will orchestrate the connection between city systems and automate governance using smart applications. So cities will evolve into sensing networks to view and to monitor city development using IoT nanosensors, using 5G and gigabit Wi-Fi. That will bring high-speed connections to every corner of your city. And consumer demands will be more diverse than ever. And the manufacturing industry will use flexible robotics in factory settings and intelligent supply chain networks. So autonomous mobile robots will reshape warehousing and logistics. Flexible manufacturing will enable companies to make products on demand, and virtual simulation models will improve the design and will improve the products. So renewable energy, like wind and solar power, like offshore wind power generation, will provide clean energy solutions. So floating solar power plants that can be installed on nearshore water like lakes or like ponds, and the virtual power plants that connect energy companies and consumers will contribute to this new energy landscape. Data sharing and transactions require high security and authentication. And this is why smart contracts using blockchain, they are enabling contracts to be executed quickly and efficiently. Then we have AI will be used to combat fraud and enhance identity protection and privacy. And new data protection rules will build digital trust between the people and the businesses.
So you imagine the change that I was talking about. The reality is that unless you are digitally literate and you're AI literate, you have no chance in the future. Some of this is already finding place in the new world, and I've been privy to quite a few of these that are going in. So that is the 50% of the R&D, technology, the top 8 technologies that I think are going to make a difference. Let me now show you the last 1%, which is the fintech. Can I have the next video, please?
It will be very different than today for investment managers. Take K30, a joint venture that serves 2030's more diverse, informed, and demanding customers. Dow is a direct K30 client. He's 27, smart, social, successful, and just starting out in the world of savings and investments. Dow chose his asset manager using global peer network ratings. He likes K30's innovative approach. With a new fiancée, Dow has huge life events ahead. They need good advice so they won't struggle like his parents. Running a portfolio of international businesses keeps Dow busy, but he's keen to learn and proactively manage his future. K30 sent him personalized alerts, from real-time investment information to progress updates on his objectives. Dow needs outcome certainty and likes that K30 aggregates his broader financial position across providers. K30 know that Dow has some cash put aside. They suggest a few opportunities which may be of interest and invite him to an online training seminar to learn more. Dow grew up with data, so he drills down further. Then he crowdsources ideas through his social network. He has much to discuss with his fiancée and K30. Meanwhile, Jen is working from home. Since her husband Tim died, Jen's had to rethink her investment priorities for retirement, if you can still call it that. A message arrives from her grandchildren in Cape Town saying how much they miss her. Jen decides it's time to adjust her investment portfolio and start a new chapter. As a couple, Tim and Jen prioritized healthcare and buying a vacation property. But now Jen's future is different. She calls her asset manager. Since her younger years, K30 have always been there, with a network of advisors to provide support and advice. Jen needs them now more than ever. Feeling reassured, Jen calls Aiden and Suki. She's going to visit, and may even try and take them to space. In the future, investors will look and act very differently.
So this is the 1%, 2% of research. So look at the technology and the customer interface and the digital interface and the partnering that will be required to make the new world come true. Let's move, please. Therefore, I move to the next slide. It's an art. It's not just a process. Let's move. The next example that I want to give you is 3M's unconnected dots. This is saying sometimes disruption can be, you have to look at connecting unconnected dots. The adhesive tape that forms the bond, comes from two people from two different sets of examples. They were in two different places. They combined later and they realized that they can actually form the 3M, the yellow chip that is so successful today. Let's move forward, please. Don't have to show the video. Let's move forward. And the mindset of 3M Corporation is what you measure is what you get. Look at the things that they measure. They talk about how much of revenue is coming from products introduced in the last 4 years. They talk about what seed capital do you have for your business unit managers to actually try and fail or succeed. Do you have business unit laboratories, sector laboratories, and corporate labs? Do you have 15% of your time are you putting behind this 15% rule? They are free to look for unexpected, unscripted, for breakthrough innovations. Connect the unconnected dots. This is a process that they follow. Unbelievable, because unless you can just say big things, but if you don't enable it to happen, it will never happen. Let's move, please. Winning consistently, therefore, in the new world requires ecosystem plays and collaboration. Let's move on. And I'll give you an example from ABG Innovation Fund, where the best minds in the world come together. Let's move. Across the world, we have places where we look at, let's move on, please. We have an ecosystem of corporate startups and governments and academia that is playing together. Move. Collaborators, startup entrepreneurs, VC firms, innovation bodies, universities, and family offices across US, Canada, Singapore, Switzerland, Germany, and UK and Israel. We actually work together to find solutions to our needs. Let's move. As we speak, it starts with a business need. It starts with a business need always, or a consumer customer need. Then we look for consumer lifetime value. We structure MOUs. Fundamentally, what we do is we convert OPEX to equity. Move, please. We have 160 startups that we are already working with across the world. 107 are from India, but there are 53 from across the world. A lot from the US, UK, and Singapore, and Israel. So there is this model working across the board with our teams, and they have created tremendous value in the last 3 years. Just to give you a number, the OPEX spent by our companies on these startups, we give startup scale. These OPEX are up to the tune of about hundreds of crores in a year. And obviously, they would not be spending that OPEX unless they were getting benefit out of it. Let's move, please. So partnering, but remember, these are the kind of startups. They're startups across the board, from new product to sustainability to energy efficiency, cybersecurity, price forecasting, smart factory. Next slide, please. They're all over the segments, from preventing degradation, efficiency in solar farms, to providing drone images, to platform optimization, to recycling of fiber, to solar, etc., to fintech, advising robo-advisory solutions. The value creation is tremendous. It is creating equity for us as well. We take minor equity, we don't take major equity at all. And some of these, when they begin to do well, we begin to invest in them later. Let's move on. So this is a very important part of how you look at startups. Startups are not your employees. You have to work along with them and make sure that they are integrated. You give them scale, create platforms, and take them up faster. In the final world, the most important thing is people. Let's move. And I think the skills of the future, from a leader perspective, is to be adaptable, extremely adaptable. If need be, things are changing every 2-3 months. You have to pivot strategies and operations and not fall in love because you put it 6 months back. You have to be digitally savvy, both technology and AI, which I talked about. You have to have a global mindset, work across cultures, make sure it is easier said than done. Sustainability focus, we've talked about, environmental considerations into every decision, in fact, creating a competitive advantage out of sustainability. Look at ethical leadership, and Partha talked about it. This is going to be the biggest challenge of the future. Disruptions will come if you have a strong ethical compass to navigate yourself. Be clear about what you will never compromise on. Next slide, please. Further, you have to be having an inclusive approach. You have to be resilient. Don't worry about the song Log to Kuch. People will say something all the time. Don't worry about it. Kuch to log kahenge. Logon ka kaam hai kehna. Don't worry about it. Be clear about your focus for that period. Look at beyond IQ. Emotional quotient is how you're comfortable with yourself. If I had Amitabh Bachchan's voice and somebody else's six-pack, I wouldn't have been Shrijeet Mishra. There's something about development. How do you make sure others develop with you? Social quotient. If you're comfortable with yourself, you'll be comfortable socially. And the most important thing to me is the spiritual quotient. Believe that there is a greater force that guides you up there. You are nothing without that force that guides you. If you're true to your values and you're true to going beyond just the intelligence of you and working together in a community, you will go at a different level in your life. Collaborative skills, therefore, obviously are very, very crucial. Not just within the organization, but outside the organization to win. And if you have a learning mindset, if you behave like a 10-year-old child, like an 8-year-old child, like a 6-year-old child, all through your life, you have to have a commitment of learning from a rickshawala to the best scientist in the world. You have to learn from everybody and create and co-create as you go forward. Let's move on. HR strategies that don't need to be devised to keep this. Therefore, to create an A team of the future, first and foremost, the leader must define the purpose, goals, and objectives of the team. D&I is crucial. Flexible ways of working, give space, for God's sake. Promote collaboration and communication. Commonality is crucial, but each one must find its space to work. Invest in lifelong learning, minimal hierarchy, encourage adaptability, promote well-being for each other, and celebrate failure. Fail you must. Ask 2 questions every time to your team. 1, what did you fail on in the last quarter? If you haven't failed, you haven't stretched. You haven't stretched. But don't fail in the same one, and share failure. Second, what is it that you did for the first time in your life, both personally and professionally, in the last 6 months? That is the time you grew. Ask this question to yourself. What is it that you ever did in the last 6 months, which was the first time in your life? If you didn't, please do it in the next 6 months. Celebrate failure and encourage learning from it. Fail we must, but fail small. But fail we must, because that's the only way to succeed. Next slide, please. I want to show you a video. This is a fabulous video about SEALs. Just see it. It's pretty self-explaining.
The Navy SEALs are one of the highest performing organizations on the planet. And a former Navy SEAL was asked, who makes it through BUDS? Who makes it through the selection process to become a SEAL? And he said, I can't tell you who gets through, who makes it, but I can tell you the kind of people who don't make it. He said the star college athletes that never have been really tested to the core of their being, none of them make it through. He said the preening leaders who like to delegate everything, none of them make it through. He said the big tough guys that come in with huge muscles, covered in tattoos, and want to prove to everyone how tough they are, none of them make it through. He said some of the guys that make it through are skinny and scrawny. He said some of the guys who make it through, you will see them shivering out of fear. He said, but every single one of them who makes it through, when they're emotionally exhausted, when they're physically exhausted, some way, somehow, they're able to dig down deep inside themselves to find the energy to help the person next to them. Service, giving to another, having their back, is what makes the highest performing teams in the world. Not their strength and not their intelligence. It's their willingness to be there for each other.
What a powerful statement. And Partha, this is exactly what you started with. And I want to move on to the last few slides, 2-3 slides of my presentation. Lead with the future in mind. This is a very important point. Solve today's problem with the future in mind. There's a need to correct the inside out, that is inside you and the organization, within the leader, within the people in the organization, with the outside in priorities of development which are beyond the control. Learn to be out of control, but keep the future in mind. Understand, read a lot. I mean, somebody just passed on this point about semiconductors. Completely agree that they are the future for India. Could not agree more. But what in semiconductors we should talk? People are at the heart of everything that we do. Do not compromise on the right people. That is going to be crucial. People who have your back. The last point to me is the most important point. When I found my guru at the age of 20, I only learned one thing. Give more than you take. From any relationship. Underline the word any relationship. It doesn't matter if you're going to get something out of that person or not. If you do that, that relationship will grow and will grow beautifully. Remember your roots, where you've come from, and how much of gratitude you should have for the Lord who has actually got you where you are. And give more than you take as you go through life. That's going to be crucial for every leader. Next slide, please. In summary, I come to my last slide. Disruption is a constant in this finer world. But remember finer, flexible, intuitive, non-linear, excitable, and responsible. Remember what to keep, what to transform, and what to co-create with others, perhaps including competition. Share, analyze mega trends, envision the future. Be bold enough to envision the future. And disruption can be created by serving an underserved market or giving an augmented service or innovative product form or a service. Technology, healthcare, and energy, and we talked about fintech, are going to be the future. Disruption is not just a process, it's an art. Allow for time. I do a small course with some of the foreign universities where I say, what's the headline of today's news? And how does it impact your work that you're doing? come back and come in less than 15 minutes. It's going to be very, very important to look at that. Sustained success in today's environment necessitates ecosystem play and partnerships. The skills of the future will be very different than today. We talked about them. And building the right culture, be there for each other. Each other does not mean only the people that you know. Each other means even the people that you meet for only once in your lifetime. With that, I thank you for the opportunity. Next slide. I thank you for the opportunity. I am open to your questions. I hope I have done service to the opportunity that you have given.
Thanks, Shrijeet. Really great. It was awesome. Let me tell you, it's really great. I think everybody is totally stuck with your screen, what you are sharing with everybody. Now, here are some of the questions. Let me repeat the question which Larry Kaufman has sent. In countries like China that are led by dictators, isn't the risk of major disruptions much higher because decisions are made primarily by one individual? Can this risk reduce your confidence in the forecast that China will be the world leading economy in 2050?
Yeah, so I think clearly there are different models that work at different points of time. Singapore is another model like that. If you look at how Singapore got created and what Singapore is today, so it is horses for courses. I don't think there is one model that will work right through lifetime or whatever. There will be points of time when you do. So I have a theory with my own team for the last many years, which I learned that it works. You listen to everybody, and then finally at the end, when the emotions and things have all passed away, I put my hand like this and say, "This is time out. The call is now. I'm taking the call. All the responsibility for taking the call is mine. I take full responsibility of the call. It may not be what you are saying or what somebody else is saying. It may be a combination, or it may be somebody's idea as is. But the call I will take." So it is horses for courses. You must listen to everybody first. Listen to the possible interconnection that could be there. China is a great model at that point of time, where they were coming from, what their world was. They wouldn't have been where they are if they did not do it at that point of time. It's like saying, this leader was, I don't want to be controversial, but not every leader is, if Mr. Gandhi was there today, I don't know how successful he would have been in the new world. That doesn't mean anything. Maybe the aspects of what Bapuji taught us are still valid and still work at a value level. But maybe the way we would conduct ourselves would be a little different. And I think we must learn that there are different horses, different horses, and we must have different styles for different places. You can't have the same style. You would have different styles too.
Ravi Sitapathy, other than a world war, what would be a few key factors that could derail this progressive change path which you have mentioned? Or is this path invincible regardless?
Just one. It's called greed.
Yeah.
If you think about only yourself,
yes,
at best my team, my family,
yeah,
that's the human tendency. I mean, I have always felt that if somebody gave me I have two daughters, their blood sample, would I know this is my daughter's blood sample or cell? No. I mean, what tells me, therefore, that, I should be only taking care of her? It is my daughter, meaning what? Me and my wife are a medium for their birth. They are independent souls. We have to make the best out of our children.
Correct.
We have to give as parents the best that we can. Doesn't mean we'll start owning them. They are independent souls. Give them their liberty. So thinking only about yourself and your little surrounding, being greedy and being mean, it's always good to leave something on the table at any condition.
Great. Somebody has asked, will this presentation be shared? Yes, it will be there on the website of Partha Ghosh Academy of Leadership. You can see the whole presentation with audio also. Next is Sam Kanapan. Risks in using AI needs to be understood first. With benefits of AI and machine language, risks are not known. What are a few major risks you feel?
It's a great question. There is a book I would recommend people read. It's called 2041 Ken Fui Lui on risks of AI. It's a very, very good book. I will give it to Commander Jaitley and you could circulate it later.
Thank you.
It's a very good book. It tells exactly what you're saying. But I think my thinking is a little different. देखिए हर एक चीज में there is something good, something bad. What you need to, when a bee goes, it picks the nectar. It doesn't pick the nonsense in the flower. Let's learn to pick the nectar. First point. So let's find what are the good things and pick the nectar. Meanwhile, absolutely guide the government and governments and interconnectedness of these governments across the world to manage this menace. Otherwise, this could be a big problem. I personally believe, I just went and gave a talk at CII. I think it's an opportunity of a different order. I'm more positive towards the negative. I think it has tremendous benefits. People say jobs will go away. Or new jobs will get created. Computer jab aaya tha, wahi hua tha. Same problem. Jobs will go away. Internet aaya, jobs will go away. New jobs get created. But if you are lazy and you don't want to learn, then certainly your job will be taken. So you have to start looking at things from a different lens. What are the positives? What are the things we can take and what are the things we can change? And of course, guide the process. There is a risk. I completely.
Commander Jaitley, there is
Yes,
a
sir.
connected question. May I put the question? Rajkumar here.
Yeah. Please, sir.
A very nice talk, Mishraji. It's very interesting. I have one question. You talked about constant disruption and possibly constant innovation. We just now had a question on, are there risks of using AI? Are there risks of constant innovation and constant disruption?
No, so disruption is not constant. I hope I have not given you that imagery. I showed you those 4 quadrants. Disruption is the top right quadrant. There are other 3 quadrants. In fact, 70% of your effort or 60% of your effort must go in those other 3 quadrants. And disruption will not happen every day. It will happen once in a while. But the pace of disruption will change. The disruptions will happen to your business by somebody who you don't think will make that disruption happen. We sometimes forget that new guys will come and create the complete disruption for the industry. So yeah. I don't think disruptions can, or innovation for that matter, can happen continuously. Continuous innovation must happen in those 3 quadrants. But in the disruptive part, they can be very few and far between. It cannot be consistent. AI, for example, there can be lots of stuff that can happen. But again, you have to choose which ones you want to play with and which ones you will not play with.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you think the disruption can also be cyclic? Like fashion, for example. Yeah. Old fashions come up, appear as new fashions with time. But do you think there is scope for disruption to be cyclic that way? And
so again, AI should take care of the cyclical part of it. The AI part will as the intelligence begins to understand, it'll say, "Acha, ye is tarah ka check shirt comes every 4th year. In the 4th year, in the 39th month, it starts beginning to evolve, and 47th month, it's the maximum." I think AI will start looking at some of those trends in the beginning. And see, remember, AI will give you a starting point. It will never give you the decision point. Therefore, I'm very optimistic about how we can use it to our advantage rather than, of course, it can be used negatively as well. And I agree that it can be used negatively. So we have to be careful about that. Fully agree.
Thank you.
Like in the fashion industry, you mentioned.
Cyclical is there, very much.
Wearing torn jeans is the biggest disruption, I believe.
Yes. And back to the bell bottoms.
Back to the bell bottom is okay. Yes. Okay. In the last but one slide, you said, be there for each other. Yes. So somebody wants to know, Karthik Ramanathan, how do you learn to be there for another person?
Well, honestly,
Dil se awaaz aani chahiye.
Dil se awaaz aani chahiye. But I'm saying, if you remember, give more than you take with anybody.
Yeah.
And try it. Bahut maza aata hai.
Correct.
It's not that difficult. It's not that tough. And you, sorry, I'm going to make a statement. You've come alone, you'll go alone. You came with nothing and you go with nothing. It's not what you do, it's how you do it that makes the biggest difference for an individual. if you remember some of these fundamentals and basics, and that when you feed a hungry person, you're feeding yourself, because there's no difference between you or that person.
Okay,
And
I'm going to just ask you the last question now.
Please.
Hari Krishna, he is asking, sir, how to create an effective global ecosystem amidst the present selfish environment?
So I think we'll have to break that. I gave you the example of when we started with the startup piece. Nobody believed in our own company that it'll work. But I'd done it in Times of India as well. And I was very confident it'll happen. Slowly and steadily, it is beginning to happen. That people are saying, look, if you go away from your own selfish motive, and you rightly pointed out selfish motive, and think about the other side a little more. Like I said, value chain. If you take away everything from the profit of the value chain guy, usko nichod ke, he'll run away from you. Yeah? Finally, he'll say, forget it, I don't want to do it. It's too much. You're killing me. Yeah? But that's not the right thing. He has to be happy. You have to be happy. You have to be digitally savvy, sustainable. He has to be sustainable. Practices have to be common. It's about live and let live. And it can happen. For example, startups were very small, and we are a $65 billion company. It is very scary when we started. But we said, look, size should not matter. They are not our employees. You can't misbehave with them. You have to do it in a manner. You have to give them scale. Don't take their IPs away. R&D friends, I had said, do not take, if you take their IP, I will be very, very harsh. So that's the biggest problem that they face. They do. That's why they don't.
Okay, sir. One more last question from Captain Mohan Ram. How does an organization tackle black swan events, which can upset even the best laid out plans?
Look,
how to manage them?
There is no
hard and fast set rule.
There's no single way I can suggest that black swan events can be avoided. I only believe that if you are thinking customer, and driving sustainable business, the A model of growth, you're thinking externally more than internally. Think externally. Think about external ways rather than internal ways. And I think you'll find your solutions.
Very great. Right, sir. I think let's give a big hand to Shrijeet. And now I'll request Partha to just conclude the session, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Shrijeet. You have covered a full spectrum of technologies, ideas, of how the future would get shaped because of the convergence. You would use the word convergence of multiple thoughts. So the big takeaway that I would like to underscore based on the points that you made is the concept of value and valuation. And I think what we are talking about, the value-driven collaboration, value-driven service to the user, value-driven service to society, as long as we are eager to provide that value, and as you rightly said, provide more than you take, we create the plus-sum synergy that I was talking about earlier, point one. And you said it beautiful. Valuation follows. If you think of valuation from the corporate valuation, people like Steve Jobs never started their business to become rich. They started their business to make a statement, to bring personal computer to life. They went through a lot of struggles. Valuation happened. I'm glad that you used the example of Apple. The valuation is not the prime goal. Being value-oriented towards society and express your own inner values is one takeaway I hope everyone would really appreciate. And that's one of the objectives of the Academy of Leadership, to bring that sense, that spirit in the minds and hearts of people, not only in India, across the world. That's the first takeaway. The second point that you made, a bit hidden in what you have talked about, and the question that was raised about disruption. Disruptions occur when new ideas emerge. It could happen every second, it can happen every 10 years. And we should not be scared about disruption. We should look for ways to create disruption, create new ideas, and in the process, we create a better world. Disruption is not a negative term. Disruption is disengaging from the past, creating the new. And God has given us the intelligence, the heart to always renew ourselves to create the new. And I think in that process, you made a very interesting point. I wrote down in my notes E equal to MC square. And let me tell you why did I write that? Because you talk about giving space, and then you talked about always be like the 6-year-old kid, 8-year-old kid, to be curious. The spirit of curiosity, when managed over time, whether you're 60 years old, you go back to 6, that's a time machine that you travel. And creating space for yourself is exactly the movement of space and time, which we could manage. It's no longer a theory of physics. It is possible. And fortunately, our Vedic philosophy have underscored that 5,000 years ago. It's possible. And the final point, I would like to see the Academy of Leadership engages with the Aditya Birla Group, because what you described when you were talking about the group, it was a beautiful representation of not diversity as a conglomerate, but diversity as an expression of inner core of the company. And there's a difference. You can manage portfolio of businesses which are isolated to manage risk, because if one goes down, the other one would protect me. That's how people look at business as portfolio. But if you look at businesses as a common platform, which give expression to different solutions for service of society, that's the true kind of leadership we can provide to society. So that is the third takeaway. And the final takeaway, which I hope you would particularly appreciate, the concept of wastage. Nothing can be wasted. We should, if we truly revere the nature,
absolutely,
every element, every molecule, every bits and bytes, every photon is gift of God. It is our responsibility to manage that cycle of usage so that each and every atom is preserved, utilized, and reutilized. And that's how the cycle has to be managed. And I personally, I gave a talk about 20 years ago. You would be happy to know. That's why the word circular economy I introduced. I'll send you that paper. And I came to it from both from a scientific point of view, as well from philosophical point of view, and merge the two. So thank you very much. I think it's a fantastic presentation. I know we would like to work with you to take the promise of the Academy of Leadership forward, because I did mention that we have to move from zero-sum to plus-sum game. And that was exactly the essence of your presentation, that we have to move from you lose, I win, to we win together, the spirit of collaboration. And that's what our academy is all about. It's not going to be easy, because as the point was made, we are living in a world of self-interest. We are living in a world of greed. We are living in a world of Cartesian model, driven by Adam Smith and survival of the fittest. We have to move away to concept of one humanity and concept of universal brotherhood. So with that, thank you very much.
So I have just two words to say.
Yes.
One is, do focus on nature apart from scriptures. There is a lot in nature. I have learned a lot by just observing and being with nature. It is unbelievable. And kids, nature means nature and kids. Animals and kids in some way are, because they have no fear. They come up with solutions without fear. Number two, I just wanted to acknowledge my colleague Sharon here and Gaurav. Sharon, if you can just come on screen, please. Who have helped me.
I'm on the screen. Yeah.
Sharon, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You're being very kind and generous.
Sharon,
I didn't do anything.
Gaurav, without whom I wouldn't have been able to do this presentation. Thank you so much.
Great.
And we welcome you to the movement as well.
And we welcome you to IIT Kharagpur in person.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Pranav, can we have vote of thanks, a formal vote of thanks, Pranav Patel?
Yes, thank you, sir. And yes, it will be a pleasure for me to really give vote of thanks for this lecture, because what a mesmerizing session, sir. Really, thank you very, very much for spending time and giving us this insightful I would say, well-researched, well thought of, well-reflected presentation which you have given us, sir. And especially, for me, the key takeaway, only one I would say is customer-centric behavior is not the only one. We need to top it up with our, I would say, sustainable business model, which is there, which also takes care of the nature. And you re-emphasize again and again, telling us that, take less, give more. So give more than you take always. And that is what the key to success and satisfaction, I would say, lies. So thank you very much, sir, for giving us this wonderful talk here. Really a pleasure to have you with us. And thanks to everyone else. Thanks to our inspiration person who's the force behind this Leadership Academy, Dr. Partha Ghosh. So thank you very much. Commander V.K. Jetli, who's an advisor to us, and also the person who always anchor us to be here around. So thank you, Commander, Chairman, Professor Shailendra Vashi. Thank you very much for helping us organize and make things happen. Also, all our other well-wishers, Purandang sir is here, Larry Kaufman sir is here, Rajkumar sir, thank you very much, and all other regular attendees who are there, Madhusudan sir, and all others. I mean, there's so many I can't just name. But thank you very, very much. Others who have been joined for the first time, you can follow us on social media and get more updates about the monthly lectures that we're doing, and also see the other lectures which have happened in the past. You can follow us our YouTube channel and see all these lectures there. So thank you very, very much. Looking forward to see you all again next month for a very exciting lecture again. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, guys.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.